Go ahead,
Thank you,
Ms.
Mr.
Nash,
Chair.
please.
On this side, we're very concerned about this motion, and it really stems from our concern about Bill C-4 as a whole. This motion, of course, deals with the Omnibus Budget Implementation Act, and it is yet again another attempt by this government to throw several legislative changes, throw them into one large bill. Many of the provisions in this bill have nothing to do with the budget, and to limit time for debate, limit discussion, limit any changes, limit input, and then pass this through as quickly as possible. Frankly, it's a bad way to make legislation. It's disrespectful to the democratic process. And I do want to say that I agree with Mr. Saxton that there are elements of Bill C-4 which should be debated in other committees. We can discuss which committees. There are three that are proposed here: Justice and Human Rights, Human Resources, Skills and Social Development, and the Status of Persons with Disabilities, and Citizenship and Immigration. Yes, there are provisions that should be discussed and debated at these committees, but what is being proposed is that there would be a very, very limited time for review at these committees, but these committees would not have the opportunity to vote on any amendments, to adopt or reject any parts of this law, a proposed law, because ultimately the bill would all come back to the Finance Committee. We won't have had the benefit of any of the testimony that has been before the other committees, and so the power to vote on any amendments, to finally vote on the bill, is taken away from the committees which have the very expertise and ought to be looking at these sections of the bill. It's a terrible process. It's a bad way to make legislation, and we just want to register our protest. We do not think that these omnibus bills should make massive changes, throw the government's almost the entire legislative agenda into one large bill. This C-4, this omnibus budget bill, would change over 70 pieces of legislation. Some of it is tax legislation. Quite rightly, it should be before the Finance Committee. But really, changes to how Supreme Court judges are appointed? Really? Changes to health and safety protection for workers at banks or airlines? Really? We're dealing with that at the Finance Committee? Makes absolutely no sense. So we want to register our protest against this format. Our message to the government once again is to break up these bills, send the appropriate pieces that affect different committees, send these pieces to those committees, not only for 1 day or 2 days of witnesses, but for a thorough review, a normal legislative process. Let those committees discuss, debate, propose amendments, and vote on separate pieces of legislation. So our message is we should be breaking up these bills, not cramming all these changes into one omnibus budget bill. And we think this is a bad way to make legislation. Mr. Chair, we will be voting against this motion.